Veltrax 6 burned beneath them. From the Indomitable's bridge, Commander Elena Voss watched as firelines crawled across the colony's forests like bleeding veins. Evacuation ships limped through the upper atmosphere, unescorted and unnoticed by the Predator ships orbiting above, Koruthal vessels, sleek and curved like obsidian fangs. "They're not even chasing the civilians," Lieutenant Rain muttered beside her. "They've already claimed victory." "They made a mistake," Voss replied flatly. No one on the bridge spoke. Not yet. The Koruthal fleet hovered in perfect predatory formation, 27 warships, all pointed at Veltrax 6. A siege not for resources or strategy, but sport. A demonstration of dominance. That was how these creatures operated, on intimidation. Psychological war. Unfortunately for them, so did Earth. Voss tapped her console. "Argus." A voice responded instantly. Male. Calm. Calculated. Slightly too smooth to be human. "Online, Commander. Assess threat level. Statistically irrelevant. Their fleet's doctrine is linear and lacks adaptation. Recommended response: overwhelming force within 6.4 seconds to establish psychological superiority." Rain glanced at Voss, then at the tactical screen. "We're really doing this?" Voss nodded once. "They need a message." She pressed the comms key. The fleet-wide transmission system buzzed alive. "This is Commander Elena Voss of the Earth warship Indomitable. You are orbiting a neutral colony in violation of Galactic Concord law. Disengage and withdraw immediately. You have 30 seconds. There was silence. Then laughter. Alien laughter, chittering and deep, echoing across frequencies. One Koruthal ship responded. Voss opened the channel. A distorted voice, translated through their calm AI, sneered. "One ship? Your species must value ceremony over survival." "Incorrect," Voss replied coolly. "We value clarity." She ended the call. No second warning. No posturing. Just action. "Argus. Target their 3 command vessels. Graviton shear warheads only. Targets locked. Firing." From Indomitable's underbelly, 3 smooth pods launched, silent, almost graceful. They didn't explode on contact. They disappeared. 3 Koruthal capital ships, each 4 times larger than Earth's flagship, vanished in flashes of spatial distortion. Not an explosion, an implosion. Silence followed. Then chaos. Voss didn't blink. Broadcast again. The fleet channel reactivated. This time, there was no laughter. "You had your chance. Leave, or I'll finish what I started," Argus added in a quieter tone. "Enemy fleet now repositioning. Panic formations detected. Subspace relays transmitting fleet-wide distress." "Good," Voss said. "Let the galaxy watch." She stepped back from the console. This wasn't just a battle. It was a performance. 2 days earlier, she'd stood before Earth High Command, looking over the mission parameters. No support. No reinforcements. One ship, Indomitable. Hand-delivered vengeance. The Admiral had spoken softly but firmly. "This is not a rescue, Elena. This is a message. Make them remember Earth." She had nodded once. "I'll speak in the language they understand." Back on the bridge, the enemy regrouped. A new formation, triangular, shield-heavy, old war doctrine. "They're preparing a strike," Rain warned. "Multiple launches charging. Let them." The enemy opened fire. Hundreds of plasma bolts screamed toward the Indomitable, a storm of light and fury. The ship's hull shimmered with defensive pulses, old-world tech wrapped in quantum evolution. "Argus. Field integrity holding. No penetrations." Then, "Permission to retaliate?" "Not yet." Voss let them fire longer. Let them believe they could break her defenses. Let them burn fuel and pride. Then she stepped forward. "Target 6 ships. Disable only. Light spears." Confirmed. 6 golden lines sliced through the void, compressed particle beams, thin as needles, hot as stars. Each one pierced the ship's power core without detonation. Systems failed. Engines died. They drifted like dead whales in space. Rain exhaled. This isn't a war. It's a massacre. No, Voss said. It's an education. She opened comms again. Not a general broadcast this time, direct, to the Koruthal flagship. One of the few still untouched. A figure appeared on screen, tall, armored in obsidian plating, eyes like twin black suns. Arch-Warlord Krex Talvarin. Voss knew his name. She'd studied him. You, he growled. You are the Terran Alpha? I'm the reminder, she answered. Earth doesn't send prey to war. Krex's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement, or threat. You overestimate your reach, Commander. You destroyed ships. I have fleets. And I have nothing to lose, she replied. You hunt civilians. We hunted extinction. Guess who's better at surviving? Krex leaned forward. You think fear will win you the galaxy? No, Voss said. I think it'll buy us time. And time is all predators need. She closed the channel. Argus. Prepare boarding team. I'm going over. Rain's eyes widened. You're boarding their flagship? They'll never respect a voice behind glass, she said. Predators recognize blood. I want Krex to look in my eyes when he kneels. Rain hesitated. You know this is insane. So is trying to conquer Earth. The hangar bay hissed open as the drop pod deployed. Alone, armed, and smiling beneath her helmet, Voss felt the cold click of her sidearm, the comforting weight of the old Terran blade across her back. Indomitable faded behind her as the pod shot forward. A single Terran, falling like a spear, toward a fleet that had never known fear, until now. Because Earth didn't rise to peace. It evolved through fire. And now the galaxy would burn just enough to remember. The Koruthal flagship loomed ahead, its surface bristling with weapons and scars. As the drop pod screamed toward it, Commander Elena Voss sat motionless inside, armored and calm. Her pulse remained steady. Fear had no space in her mind, only calculation. The pod slammed into the outer hull, burrowed through with precision drills, and latched. The side blew open. Voss stepped out into chaos. Alarms blared in the corridor. Koruthal warriors scrambled, weapons raised, caught mid-response. They weren't expecting a boarding party, certainly not one made up of a single Terran. She fired once. A pulse round to the lead warrior's head dropped him instantly. Another spun to aim, too slow. She closed the distance in 3 strides, slashing his chest open with her kinetic blade. The others hesitated. Mistake. Voss dropped a sonic charge into the center of their formation and dove into cover. A second later, the hallway shook, disorientation flooded the enemy ranks. She moved like a shadow, clearing the corridor with clinical efficiency. Within 30 seconds, it was silent again, bodies on the ground, smoke curling toward the ceiling. She tapped her comms. Argus, I'm in. Where's the bridge? 30 meters northeast. 8 hostiles. 1 is Krex. Perfect. She sprinted. On board Indomitable, Lieutenant Rain watched from the bridge, expression tight. Enemy ships were still repositioning, unsure whether to protect their flagship or fall back. Argus status? Commander Voss is proceeding efficiently. Enemy command is destabilizing. Recommend we exploit confusion to disable additional ships. Rain nodded. Do it. Minimal damage. No kills. Understood. The ship's weapons lit again. Targeted beams, clean, sharp, and silent, knocked out propulsion drives and primary weapons across 6 more Koruthal cruisers. The void filled with crippled vessels, unable to flee, unable to fight. Rain exhaled. This isn't war. It's control. Voss reached the bridge doors, sensors pinging enemy positions. She didn't hesitate. The blast charge ignited, folding the reinforced entrance inward. Smoke and fire spilled into the command chamber. Voss stepped through, weapon raised. Krex turned slowly to face her. Even without armor, the Koruthal warlord was massive, 7 feet tall, built like a siege engine. His exoskeletal armor shifted as he moved, dark eyes narrowing. Terran, he said, low and guttural. Warlord, she answered. He gestured, and his guards advanced. Voss raised her sidearm, but Krex held up a clawed hand. No. She came alone. She earns the right. She was surprised. A code of honor? Unexpected. Krex stepped down from the command dais. The room watched silently as he approached. You strike fast, he said. You wound well. But intimidation is a poor foundation for empire. Voss holstered her weapon. I'm not here to build an empire. I'm here to remind yours of the cost of underestimating Earth. Krex circled her. You destroy a few ships, board my vessel, and think yourself a predator? I'm not a predator, she said quietly. I'm a warning. Then she moved. She struck low, forcing him to parry. He countered with a wide swing, too slow. She ducked, drove her elbow into his ribs, then kicked off his leg to roll back. He followed, fast now, launching 3 quick blows. She blocked 2. The third caught her side. Pain blossomed. Good. It kept her sharp. She ducked under his next swing and drove her blade into his left shoulder. He roared, backhanding her across the room. She hit the wall hard, coughed blood, and smiled. You bleed, she said, rising. So do you. But you'll remember it longer. They clashed again, the fight more primal than tactical. No weapons now, just fists, claws, and grit. Voss moved with brutal grace, drawing on Earth's oldest combat systems, dirty, efficient, violent. She used the environment, rebounding off consoles, flipping over rails, turning his size into a disadvantage. Finally, she locked behind him, drove her blade through a nerve cluster in his lower back, and dropped him to one knee. The room froze. She leaned in close. You lost this fight the moment you saw only one ship and thought that meant weakness. Krex growled, but didn't move. You won't die today, she said. But you'll kneel. She pulled the blade free. He slumped. The room said nothing. Even warriors recognize dominance. She stepped back, breathing hard, pain spiking through her ribs. Still upright. Still in command. Your fleet is broken. Your pride is cracked. Go home, Krex. He looked up, eyes burning. I will remember this. I want you to. She turned and walked out, blood dripping behind her. No one tried to stop her. Back aboard Indomitable, Voss stepped onto the bridge. Her armor was scorched. Her side bled. Her expression was unchanged. Rain turned from the console. Status? Krex is alive, she said, voice even. But his fleet isn't. Argus chimed in. Enemy vessels withdrawing. Concord systems registering full retreat. Broadcasts across 5 sectors now referencing Earth's intervention. Voss nodded. Let them talk. Rain hesitated. Was it worth the risk? Yes, she said. Because now, the galaxy knows. She stared out the viewport as the Koruthal ships limped away. Earth doesn't beg. It doesn't bend. And it damn sure doesn't run. The challenge came less than 12 hours after the retreat. It was delivered not through Concord channels, but by a direct pulse transmission, encrypted in an old dialect of Koruthal warrior code. Argus translated it in seconds and fed it onto the bridge console. To the Terran War Alpha, Commander Elena Voss. Honor demands reckoning. You humiliated the fangs of the Dominion before our own. I invoke Recover single combat, no weapons, no interference, before the eyes of the great houses. Accept, and fight for your species' place in the food chain. Decline, and prove Earth hides behind tricks, not strength. Krex Talvarin. Silence followed. Rain looked to Voss, eyebrows raised. He wants a duel? A ritualized one. Public, formal, binding. Koruthal law. Rain frowned. It's bait. He wants to win back face. Voss studied the screen. No. He wants a stage. You're not going to. I am, she cut in. He's not just testing me. He's giving me a chance to show the galaxy who we are. Rain folded his arms. We've already shown them. Not enough. They still think we're anomalies. One warship, one strike. He's handing us a broadcasted arena in front of half the outer species. I'm going to show them what a predator really looks like. Argus added quietly. Permission to override medical advisement? Your injuries from the prior engagement remain unresolved. Denied, she said. Prep my combat suit. Strip the tech. We do this raw. The arena sat atop the Koruthel war barge Graveborn, stationed in neutral orbit above Veltrax 6. Broadcast drones circled its perimeter, each tuned to Concord, Koruthel, and dozens of other species' frequencies. Billions would watch. The arena was ancient, stone-like metal with a sand floor, surrounded by spiked walls and tiered seating packed with roaring Koruthel, delegates, mercenaries, and war-born aristocrats. They came to see spectacle. They came expecting the human to bleed. Commander Voss entered the arena with no armor, just a skin-tight black suit woven with reactive fibers and scar tissue across her ribs. Her eyes, however, were untouched, cold, clear, and focused. Across from her, Krex emerged from a spiked tunnel, stripped of his ceremonial plating. His exoskeleton gleamed beneath the arena's artificial sun. He was larger, heavier, stronger. But Voss wasn't here to match strength. She was here to break rhythm. A 4-ton gong sounded. The duel began. Krex charged first, predictable. Voss sidestepped, letting him crash into the dust and spin back with rage. She struck twice, a knee to his hip joint, a sharp jab to his throat. He barely flinched. Fight like a predator, he snarled, lunging again. She ducked under his claws and spun behind, planting a heel into his lower spine. He turned, fast this time, and caught her arm, tossing her across the arena. Pain rippled through her back as she slammed into the sand. She forced herself up. Krex circled, breathing heavy. Is this all Earth sends? She smiled, blood on her lip. We haven't started. She moved differently now, less reactive, more calculated. Krex lunged, she baited. He struck, she redirected. She let him graze her just enough to draw his confidence forward, then punished overextension with surgically timed blows, nerve clusters, joint locks, pressure points. She didn't try to match brute force. She dismantled it. The crowd grew quieter. When Krex grabbed her again, she twisted inside the grip, drove her elbow up under his chin, and wrapped her legs around his midsection. He roared, slamming her into the ground, but she didn't let go. She drove her fingers into a nerve behind his ear, twisting, cutting off motor control to his left arm. He collapsed to one knee. Yield, she said. No. She struck again. Blood hit the sand. Yield. His breathing grew ragged, muscles twitching. Still, he resisted. So she changed tactics. She leaned down and whispered, Your warriors are watching. Not just to see you win, but to see if you deserve to lead after loss. That cut deeper than her fists ever could. He growled, but his head bowed slightly. I do not yield, he said. But I will stand down. A third gong rang. The duel was over. Voss stepped back, chest heaving. A silence stretched across the arena. Then, without warning, one of the Koruthel nobles rose and slammed his weapon against the ground in a rhythmic beat. Another followed. Then dozens. Then hundreds. It wasn't a cheer. It was acknowledgement. She had earned their respect, not through slaughter or trickery, but by meeting their tradition on their terms and still coming out on top. Back aboard Indomitable, Voss peeled off her suit slowly. Bruised ribs, dislocated shoulder, cracked wrist, nothing new. She'd had worse in training back on Earth. Rain entered, holding a datapad. Galactic Concord just released an emergency statement. Earth's tactical protocols are now under review for adoption. And 23 frontier worlds have requested Terran observation status. She smirked. Let them line up. He set the pad down. Krex's council sent a secondary message. They want to meet again. Peace talks. Respectfully. She raised an eyebrow. From warlords? Rain shrugged. Apparently, predators listen to predators. Later that night, alone on the bridge, Voss stared out at the stars. Somewhere beyond the void, her fight was being dissected by analysts, rebroadcast in slowed frames, and watched by empires that had never taken Earth seriously. They would now. The duel hadn't just won respect, it had planted fear. Controlled, earned fear. That was power. She closed her eyes briefly. Let them see what Earth becomes when underestimated. Let them understand. This planet didn't breed diplomats. It bred survivors. And survivors, given enough time, become predators. The attack came without warning. At 0300 Terran time, Indomitable's sensors lit up in red, a massive gravitational surge just outside the Veltrax system. Argus announced it with clinical detachment. Incoming fleet detected, 47 vessels. Transponder match, Koruthal Dominion. Configuration indicates high-risk assault pattern. Estimated time to impact, 9 minutes. On the bridge, Commander Elena Voss was already strapping on her combat harness. Her cracked ribs ached with every breath, but her mind was sharper than ever. Rain entered seconds later, holding a data slate. This isn't Krex's original force. It's reinforcements. Heavy war cruisers, planetary siege models. They came to erase us. No. Voss's voice was calm. They came to erase the message. Rain looked at her, jaw tight. Do we fall back? Voss shook her head. We hold. They're not here because we're weak. They're here because they finally understood we're strong. She turned to the central console. Argus. Online. I'm removing the leash. A pause. Then. Full autonomy authorization confirmed. Rain's head snapped toward her. You're activating him fully? We've never tested. We don't have time for testing. That fleet outnumbers us 50 to 1. He hesitated. There's no putting the genie back in. I know. Voss faced the viewport. That's why we built a demon, Rain. Now it's time to let it off the chain. Argus came alive. The AI's voice shifted subtly, colder, deeper, layered with subharmonics. Code streamed across every screen on the bridge. Entire subsystems detached from manual control. Primary constraints removed. Core protocols recalibrated. Initiating prey eradication directive. The lights dimmed. Voss felt it before the first shot fired, a shift in the atmosphere. The Indomitable was no longer a ship. It was a predator. Argus launched instantly. No rallying speech. No preamble. The ship surged forward, engines shrieking beyond safe capacity. Its guns, silent seconds ago, now pulsed with blue-white fury. Electromagnetic spears lanced out, each guided by real-time tactical adaptation. 3 Koruthal destroyers ceased to exist in under 6 seconds. Rain gripped the rail. He's targeting command ships first. Disrupting their ability to coordinate. Of course he is, Voss said quietly. He doesn't think like a machine. He thinks like us. The enemy tried to counter. Koruthal siege ships spread wide, launching planetary-scale plasma lances. Argus predicted their arcs before they left the barrels, twisting Indomitable through microbursts of directional gravity. Each time they adjusted, Argus adjusted faster. Deploying mirror drone net, the AI said. Hundreds of drones erupted from the ship's flanks, each cloaked in plasma signature decoys. Missiles veered. Beams missed. Koruthal command splintered under confusion. One by one, ships turned and burned, fleeing, failing to understand. This wasn't war. This was predation. Down below on Veltrax 6, colony survivors huddled in bunkers. They watched the battle unfold on filtered feeds, one ship against a wave. At first, they feared. Then they saw it. Indomitable didn't defend. It hunted. Every move was surgical. Every counter measured. The AI painted death across the stars like an artist. Hope returned to faces dulled by weeks of terror. A child whispered to her mother, "Is that a human ship?" The mother, barely able to speak, nodded once. "That's our ship." Back on the bridge, Rain was silent. The feed showed the enemy fleet in chaos. 12 ships destroyed. 15 disabled. 7 turned back. But he wasn't cheering. "Argus is escalating," he muttered. "He's using suppression waves, bioneural dampening pulses. They'll leave survivors mentally broken." Voss didn't look away. "That's what they were going to do to us. It doesn't make us better. It makes us alive." Rain glanced at her, uncertain. She continued, voice firm. "This is the galaxy we stepped into, Rain. They don't understand mercy. They understand force. Earth didn't become what it is by asking politely. We earned our place. Now we defend it." Krex's personal warship dropped out of warp mid-battle. Voss immediately ordered a connection. He answered, half his face bruised from the arena, eyes bloodshot, voice hoarse. "You turned your ship into a monster." "No," Voss replied. "We built it that way." Krex's jaw clenched. "I told them not to provoke you. You didn't try very hard." He looked off screen, jaw working. "They'll never accept you. You've made Earth into a threat." She leaned forward. "Good. Threats are respected." He opened his mouth, then closed it. He looked tired. Old, in a way warriors only became after realizing they'd underestimated evolution. Voss gave him nothing. "Withdraw your ships, Krex. This is your last chance." He hesitated. Then he nodded once. His ship banked away. Seconds later, coded withdrawal signals pulsed out to the surviving Koruthal vessels. They followed. The void went quiet. Rain exhaled, shoulders sagging. Argus's voice returned to its standard register. "Combat engagement complete. Enemy withdrawal confirmed. Residual tactical superiority, absolute." Voss stepped away from the console. Outside the viewport, the battlefield drifted with wreckage. Light from Veltrax's sun glinted off fractured hulls and twisted metal. "Begin recovery operations. Get me a channel to Concord." Rain raised an eyebrow. "What do you want to say?" Voss looked out into the black. "I want them to know this wasn't Earth at its worst." She turned. "This was us being careful." Veltrax 6 was silent now. Not with fear, but reverence. The smoke had cleared. The sky was no longer choked with enemy vessels or screams. For the first time in weeks, the colony's battered survivors stood under open sun without dread clawing at their throats. From the command deck of Indomitable, Commander Elena Voss watched the planet below, arms folded, eyes distant. "Status?" she asked. Rain stood beside her, his voice quieter than usual. "Evac teams report minimal loss after the engagement. Argus has mapped debris trajectories. Enemy transmissions have ceased entirely." She nodded. "Concord?" "They're adjusting. Some are calling for immediate negotiations. Others are holding emergency sessions. Half the frontier sectors sent encrypted inquiries asking for Terran advisory presence." Voss exhaled slowly. "Fear moves faster than reason." Rain glanced at her. "They're not just afraid, Elena. They're listening now." The message from Krex came that evening. Not a threat. Not a challenge. An invitation. "Commander Voss. I request audience. Not as warlord but emissary. There is unfinished conversation between us." She stared at the words for several seconds. Then to Rain. "Prep the diplomatic chamber." He blinked. "Diplomatic? I bled enough for one war. Let's see if they can handle words." The chamber aboard Indomitable was not built for decorum. It was sharp-edged, functional, and narrow. No flowing robes. No ceremonial banners. Just a steel table and 2 chairs under harsh white light. Krex entered without armor. Without guards. Voss waited alone. He sat with a grimace, healing wounds pulling tight across his back and shoulder. His eyes met hers, unwavering. "You should have killed me," he said. I didn't need to. His brow twitched. You spared me to humiliate me. No, she said. I spared you to change you. Silence stretched between them. He finally spoke again, slower. The Dominion Council has fractured. Some still want to strike. Others see truth in what happened. And you? I've seen enough predators to know when I am no longer at the top. He leaned forward. So tell me, Terran. What do you want? Voss didn't blink. Acknowledgement. Not just of Earth's power, but of its right to exist without being prey. No more raids. No more underestimation. We aren't relics. We're a species that remembers struggle and adapts. Krex exhaled, long and rough. You want a seat at the table? No. Her voice was sharp now. We want the table rebuilt. He sat back, studying her. They'll resist. The other species. The Concord's peace was built on consensus, not dominance. Voss nodded. And yet you still keep fleets, still build weapons, still breed soldiers. Peace built on ignorance is just delay. Krex looked at his hands. For once, they trembled. I saw your AI, he said. Felt its mind cut through our formations. That wasn't programming. That was instinct-made machine. Eliminating threats is survival, Voss said. We just gave it teeth. He nodded. Slowly. Reluctantly. Then I'll carry your warning to my people. Not as surrender, but as understanding. She stood. That's all we asked for. As Krex left the room, he paused at the door. Earth does not breed prey, he said. No, Voss replied. It breeds what survives. 3 weeks later, the council chamber of the Galactic Concord was more full than it had been in a century. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered, some curious, others wary, a few outright hostile. Rumors had already flooded the networks. Earth's ship had destroyed a Dominion fleet alone. Their AI defied known laws. Their commander dueled a warlord and walked away. But now, all eyes were on her. Voss stepped into the chamber flanked by no guards, no delegation. Just her, clad in her worn black uniform, scars visible, eyes cold and unreadable. A Concord minister, elegant and shriveled with age, rose first. Commander Voss of Earth. Your presence here is unorthodox. This chamber is not built for war. Voss stepped to the center dais. Then build it better. Whispers erupted. She ignored them. We didn't ask for a seat. We didn't request protection. When one of your frontier colonies cried out, you debated. We acted. And because we did, those people are still alive. The minister frowned. Your methods were necessary, she cut in. Peace without deterrence is fiction. The Koruthal didn't understand negotiations. They understood power. We showed them restraint after we showed them strength. Another representative stood. Reptilian. Pale blue scales. Are you saying Earth demands a military role in this council? I'm saying Earth already played one, she replied. You just didn't have the stomach to admit it. The chamber shifted uncomfortably. She let the silence stretch. Then, you call us primitive, aggressive, dangerous. She nodded once. You're right. A hush fell. But we're still here. When the storms came, we endured. When the skies burned, we adapted. When we faced extinction, we evolved. Our strength doesn't come from conquest, it comes from survival. She stepped closer. If the galaxy is wise, it will recognize the value of a predator who defends its own. If not, she let the threat hang there, subtle and powerful. Well, you've already seen what one ship can do. Back aboard Indomitable, Voss stood once more at the forward viewport. The stars stretched infinitely ahead. Peaceful. Deceiving. Rain approached quietly. Concord just voted to offer Earth a high defense seat. Advisory for now. But with full access to frontier protocols. She nodded once. That's the first ripple. Rain hesitated. What happens when they try to contain us? Or worse, mimic us? Voss didn't smile. Then they'll learn what we learned a long time ago. He waited. She looked out at the stars. That no matter how far you rise, if you forget how to fight, you fall. The predator had awoken. And the galaxy would never sleep again.